I'm Roman Yossi of the Nashville Predators.
I'm Matt Duchesne of the Nashville Predators.
I'm Justus Aros of the Nashville Predators.
I'm Ryan Johansson of the Nashville Predators.
You're listening to the Renegades of Puck
with Crazy Charlie.
Welcome to the bunker. Welcome to the Renegades of Puck podcast. I'm your host and captain, Crazy Charlie Saunier, and before we get started on the No Half Step in Hockey coverage, let me direct you to our home website, renegadesofpuck.com. Once you go to renegadesofpuck.com, you'll learn everything you need to know about the show. Once you're good and educated about the show, click on that merchandise tab that's going to take you straight to our classic logo t-shirt, our Pride logo t-shirt, all of our different special event t-shirts, and so much more. All of the gimmicks you've come to know and love from the Renegades of Puck are still in our online store. Socks, throw pillows, wall art bed sets. You can outfit your entire body or your entire home in the Renegades of Puck online store. And we sure would appreciate if you would do that. After all, we've sold out so that you can buy in. Social media is of critical importance to this independent hockey operation, so listen up, Renegades. Here's how you can help us out. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Twitter and also Facebook. Please give us a like, give us a subscription, give us a follow on any of those platforms. You can also give us a subscription on YouTube, and you can put on those notifications for all of the new episodes of Renegades of Puck TV. Thank you so much for all of the recent subscribers we've noticed, and we sure to appreciate each and every one of you. You can find the audio podcast thanks to the Full Press NHL Network on a myriad of podcast platforms. Just search Renegades of Puck on your preferred platform, or check out a couple of these examples: Google, Stitcher, Spotify, and Amazon. You can also find us on other platforms. Again, just search Renegades of Puck. Venmo is how you can become a sponsor of the show. Just go to Venmo and search Renegades of Puck, or scan the QR code that is currently on your screen. Thanks to generous Renegades just like you watching and listening right now, we've been able to make significant upgrades over the last season here to all of the operations to the bunker, whether it's the microphone, the lighting, and especially the camera. We've been able to make those upgrades thanks to you. Every penny goes to helping the Renegades of Puck, an independent hockey operation. Stick taps, love, and respect. Thank you so much. Now, I know it's time to deliver the No Half Step in Hockey coverage, so let me deliver the goods. Time for operation number 752. That's right. Show number 752 for the Renegades Puck, and at this moment in hockey history, it is time to talk Milwaukee Admirals hockey. The Milwaukee Admirals have finished the regular season in second place in the Central Division. After 72 games skated, they finished the season with a record of 41-24-5-2. 89 points had them fall just 3 points shy of first place, which was the Texas Stars. We'll recap the entire division here momentarily. On the season, the Admirals scored 238 goals. They gave up 211 against. Now, let's recap the division, then let's talk about the Milwaukee Admirals' upcoming playoff series against the Manitoba Moose. First place in the Central Division was the Texas Stars with 92 points on the season. Mentioned already, second place Milwaukee Admirals with 89 points. The Manitoba Moose, make a note of this, 84 points, finishing in third place in the Central Division. The Iowa Wild finishing in fourth with 79 points, also qualified for a playoff spot. And in fifth place, Rockford Ice Hogs, qualifying for a playoff spot as well with 79 points. Outside of the playoff scope, the Chicago Wolves in sixth place, and the Grand Rapids Griffins in seventh place in the Central Division. Now, I mentioned the Manitoba Moose because that is the Milwaukee Admirals' opponent in the upcoming best of five playoff series. The Manitoba Moose finished in third place in the Central Division with 72 games completed. They finished with a record of 37-25-6-4, 84 points. That is 5 points behind the Milwaukee Admirals. 227 goals on the season scored, 226 goals against. Now, the best of five playoff series gets underway Friday night, and that will be game one, and that will take place in Manitoba. Game two will take place on Sunday, also in Manitoba. Game three will take place on May the 3rd, and that will be, of course, in Milwaukee. Games 4 and 5 also in Milwaukee if necessary, though those games would take place on May the 5th and May the 6th. Now, these two teams met just last season, and it was the Admirals securing their first playoff series victory, well, in considerable time. The Milwaukee Admirals won game one of that series 3-2, and then they won the second game of the series 2-1, but then went on the road and in game three fell 5-2, in game four fell 7-3, tying the series up at 2 apiece, and then came away with the huge 2-1 victory in game five to secure the victory in the series before heading on to face the Chicago Wolves in the next round, which is where the Admirals would unfortunately fall. So the Admirals and the Manitoba Moose for the second year in a row in a best-of-5 series. Now, let's go back and talk about the regular season series between these two Central Division rivals, and then we will also get down further into the numbers and the individual statistics and some other things that are very intriguing and interesting about this upcoming series. Now, these two teams have met a lot of times this season, being Central Division rivals. Let's go all the way back to October the 22nd, when it was Manitoba scoring a 5-2 victory. Holm picks up the victory in net, 33 out of 35. Askarov, 26 out of 30, taking the loss. Novak and Jankowski each with goals in that game. The Moose with 5 different goal scorers to help secure the victory. They would meet 1 month later on November the 22nd. It would be Milwaukee securing the victory, 5-1 over the Manitoba Moose. Askarov, 30 out of 31 for the victory. Milwaukee would have 5 different goal scorers in this game. On December the 1st, these two teams would meet again. It would be the Admirals securing a 4-3 victory in the shootout. Askarov picking up the victory, 35 out of 38. It would be Tommy Novak picking up a goal and an assist in this game for the Admirals, and it would be Salamanen, 38 out of 41. He would take the loss in this game. These two teams would meet again 2 nights later on December the 3rd, but this time it would be the Manitoba Moose securing the victory 3-2 over Milwaukee. Askarov taking the loss, this time 28 out of 31. Holm starts this time for the Moose, 19 out of 21, securing the victory. Tommy Novak and Sherwood, a goal and an assist, 2 points each in that game. These two teams would have another back-to-back coming up here in February, starting on February the 3rd. It would be Milwaukee securing the victory on home ice against Manitoba, 3-1. Askarov picking up the victory, 28 out of 29. Holm would take the loss, 26 out of 28. It would be Leonard picking up 2 goals for the Milwaukee Admirals. The next night, the Milwaukee Admirals would defeat the Manitoba Moose 5-4. That would take place in overtime. Cooley getting the start in the second night of back-to-backs, 33 out of 37 to pick up the victory. It would be Sanford with 2 goals, including the overtime game-winning goal. Sherwood would also have 2 goals in this game. These two teams would meet 2 more times before the end of February. So let's talk about February the 23rd. That's when Manitoba would beat Milwaukee 3-2. Askarov taking the loss, 30 out of 33. Holm picking up the victory, 25 out of 27. Schneider and Afanasyev, 1 goal each for the Milwaukee Admirals. On the 25th of February would be the final regular season meeting between these two Central Division rivals, and Manitoba would secure the victory in overtime, 4-3. Askarov taking the loss, 31 out of 35. Evangelista would have 2 assists for Milwaukee, and Salmon and 25 out of 28 picking up the victory. So the regular season series goes in favor of the Milwaukee Admirals, 4-1-1, and they outscore the Moose 26-21. Now, how does that factor in? Well, these two teams have a lot of experience, but down the final stretch of the second half of the season, this is a totally different Milwaukee Admirals team going into the playoffs than what they were able to field as a roster to compete in many of these games against the Moose down the final stretch of the season. I'll get to that point here in just a moment, but let's continue breaking down the teams as they are. Let's talk about where they finished the regular season with their AHL rankings. In the goals for category, the Milwaukee Admirals 3.31 goals per game, 6th best in the league, while the Moose 3.15 goals per game was 15th overall in the league. When it comes to goals against, Milwaukee Admirals gave out 2.93 per game. That is 8th best in the AHL. Goals against for Manitoba 3.14 is 19th overall in the league. In the shots for category, the Milwaukee Admirals generate 30 shots on net per game. That is 17th best in the league. 30.1 is the number by by the Manitoba Moose, 16th best in the NHL is the ranking. In the shots against category, the Milwaukee Admirals, 23rd overall in the AHL, 31.1 given up against per game, while Manitoba is giving up 30.1 per game. That is 15th overall in the AHL. When it comes to the special teams, this is where the Milwaukee Admirals will hold a distinct advantage. Now, the Manitoba Moose have some very respectable numbers as well when it comes to special teams, but let's talk about the power play first. 24.6% conversion rate for the Milwaukee Admirals is number one overall in the AHL. 56 out of 228 opportunities. Now, very respectable number on the side of the ledger for the Moose at 22.7%, but that is fifth best in the AHL, 4 spots behind Milwaukee. 53 conversions out of 233 opportunities. Now, when it comes to the penalty kill, Milwaukee also has a very highly rated unit. Their 84.3% is their kill rate. They've given up 36 power play goals against on the season. They are third best in the league at the end of the regular season. 82.2% is Manitoba's kill rate on the year. Ninth best in the AHL, 49 power play goals against. They've given up 13 more power play goals against than the Admirals have. When it comes to individual statistics, and there's going to be a secondary category for the Milwaukee Admirals, but let's first talk about regular season statistics and how they finished up. Schneider finishes leading the Milwaukee Admirals in scoring, 25 goals, 26 assists for 51 points. Leonard at 17 goals and 27 assists for 44 points. Evangelista, 9 goals and 32 assists for 41 points. Sherwood, 22 and 16 for 38. Gross, 10 goals, 28 assists for 38 points. Philip Tomasino, 12 goals, 20 assists for 32 points. Del Gaizo, 3 and 28 for 31 out there on the blue line. And Sanford, 12 and 16 for 28. Of course, Askarov, 26, 16 and 5 is the record. 9-11 is the save percentage. 2.69 is the goals against average. Now, I want to mention before I talk about the statistics over on the Manitoba Moose side of things, I want to talk about the amount of statistics coming in and returning from Nashville. Now, it is highly impressive what Milwaukee was able to accomplish down the stretch of the season, pushing the Texas Stars for first place overall in the Central Division and ultimately securing home ice in the first round here against Manitoba Moose by securing second place in the Central, with most of the high-end talent for the Milwaukee Admirals playing in Nashville and helping the Nashville Predators make a push that they fell just short for of the playoffs. The names returning from Nashville and the stats coming back with them, and most importantly, I believe, the experience coming back with them. Let's run down that list real quick, and then we'll go down the other side of the ledger on the statistics. Luke Evangelista coming back to help the Milwaukee Admirals in the playoffs. 7 goals, 8 assists, 15 points in Nashville, 24 games played. Now, remember, also 41 points at the AHL level and 24 points at the NHL level. Mark Jankowski has 7 goals and 5 assists for 12 points on the season in Nashville. Also skated in 50 games for the Predators at the NHL level. Michael McCarron, 2 goals and 2 assists for 4 points, but 32 games played at the NHL level. Sanford, 2 goals and 1 assist for 3 points, 16 games at the NHL level. Sherwood, 7 goals, 6 assists for 13 points, 32 games played at the NHL level. Tomasino, 5 and 13 for 18, 31 games played at the NHL level. And Stastny, no goals, 2 assists, 2 points, but 8 games played at the NHL level. So returning to the Milwaukee Admirals from the Nashville Predators, and these players were all incredibly important to the Nashville Predators' success down the stretch. It is 30 goals, 35 assists, 65 points, but most impactfully, 193 games of NHL experience in a playoff race, returning to the Milwaukee Admirals to help the Admirals make the run at the Calder. Now, they've had an adjustment period as well from the end of the regular season to the start of this round of the playoffs. All of this is looking very good for the Milwaukee Admirals. Let's talk about the Manitoba Moose and their individual statistics leading leaders. It is Lemaige's with 20 goals and 34 assists for 54 points. Harkins 25 and 25 for 50. That's a nice even spread right there. Milwaukee 20 and 25 for 45. Malott 23 and 21 for 44. Chisholm 5 goals and 38 assists for 43 points. Heinola 4 and 33 for 37. Toninato 19 and 16 for 35. Mayer 15 and 12 for 27. And in net, and it is an even split right here, and you can see this by the records. Holm 18, 11 and 4, while Salmonen has a record of 18, 13 and 6. The big difference is in the rest of the numbers. Holmes goals against much better, 2.67 versus 3.06, and save percentage also much better, 9-11 save percentage versus 0.896 save percentage. So we've got a highly impressive Central Division best of 5 playoff series getting ready to get underway Friday night in Manitoba, a rematch of last year's best of 5 that went all the way to the distance and finished by just 1 goal of separation. These two teams have already played 8 times this season. The Milwaukee Admirals significantly bolstered by NHL quality competition coming back to help them out in this Calder Cup playoff tournament. The playoff tournament as it stands right now into this round: Providence versus Hartford, Hershey versus Charlotte, Toronto versus Utica, Syracuse versus Rochester, and of course on the other side of the bracket we've got Texas versus Rockford, Milwaukee versus Manitoba, Calgary versus Abbotsford, and Coachella versus Colorado. We'll be breaking down the entire tournament. We'll be breaking down every game of the Milwaukee Admirals versus the Manitoba Moose right here from the bunker. That gets you all set up for Game 1. Recap of the Admirals series, preview of the upcoming series. Very much looking forward to dropping the puck between the Admirals and the Moose coming up on Friday night.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm Tracy, owner-operator of Strong Style Fitness. And that's me and my training assistant, Rizzo. And we are here to bring you fitness that meets you where you are by offering circuit classes, bar-inspired classes, Tabata workouts, boot camps, guided stretching, and more, all taught by a certified personal trainer, me. To learn more, go to our website, strongstylefit.com. Subscribe on YouTube at Strong Style Fitness. Follow on social media at Strong Style Fit. But most importantly, let's get you moving. It doesn't matter if it's your first workout or you've been doing it for years. Strong Style Fitness has the workout that meets you on your journey and helps you along the path to a happier, healthier life. I understand where you've been, what you were going through, and where you were going, and I want to take you there. We'll see you on the mat. Mwah!
The Admirals have a solid bolster of reinforcements coming back to help them out, and the Renegades of Puck also have solid reinforcements coming to help us in the trenches right here from ontheforecheck.com, but broadcasting from an undisclosed bunker in an undisclosed location for very good reasons. Representing ontheforecheck.com, I am so proud to welcome back to the trenches Rachel K. Rachel, take all the time you need.
Hey, Captain. It's Rachel. I'm checking in from my bunker in an undisclosed location to give you a quick rundown of the Admirals playoff series. While it's disappointing to not have our Predators in the playoffs this year, it's my job to remind Renegades everywhere about our boys in white and blue up in Milwaukee. Let's get started. The Admirals face off against the Manitoba Moose in the second round of the Calder Cup playoffs. Because of the weird nature of the first round, the Admirals and Moose have not played hockey in over a week. The Ads had a fun scrimmage last weekend, but it was a little crazy, and Coach Carl Taylor said that each guy is scrapping for a lineup spot. He says he'll accept the challenge of making an optimum lineup out of these guys any day of the week. The Moose and the Admirals squared off against each other last year in the Calder Cup playoffs. They're familiar with each other, and Coach Taylor commented to Preds.com that he expects this to be a tight series. The Moose play a physical game that the Admirals will easily be able to match. Admirals captain Cole Schneider favors this physical play, and he knows how to lead his team towards embracing and conquering these kinds of challenges. I mentioned last week in my latest piece for On the Forecheck that Schneider does not allow his team to get too high or too low. That mindset is absolutely essential for a playoff run. The key players to keep your eyes on are the guys who made an impact with Nashville late in the season. Luke Evangelista, Phil Tomasino, Kiefer Sherwood, Zach Sanford, and Kevin Gravel. The Admirals have some great playoff experience in both AHL and NHL playoffs. Zach Sanford has a Stanley Cup to his name from his time with the Blues. This kind of confidence isn't exactly tangible, but it'll be visible on the ice. Since they've returned from Nashville very confident, it's fitting that the Admirals are using #FullStrength as their playoff hashtag and theme. Milwaukee is stacked from top to bottom, and it's clear they're ready to get going. Isaac Ratcliffe, Anthony Angelo, and Austin Rushoff kept the Admirals afloat late in the season, and I'd expect them to bump down the lineup a little bit, but they'll still be on the ice. The same goes for 2022 first-round pick Joakim Kimmel. Regarding this, Coach Taylor said, "We have to make sure everyone is playing the right instrument." Guys to watch out for the Moose are blue liner Leon Gavanka, Ville Heinola, Declan Chisholm, as well as forward Alex Limoges and Jeff Malott. In net, I expect Yaroslav Askarov to be the first choice for the Admirals. The Moose have a really solid netminder in Arvid Holm. That's going to be a matchup to keep your eyes on, guys. The Calder Cup playoff series are a little different. They're a best-of-5 series until we get to the conference finals, and Milwaukee will open up on the road against the Moose. Games 3, 4, and 5 would be at home in Milwaukee. The Admirals are gambling on their regular season success against the Moose with 3 wins at home and 1 on-the-road win. So, this means they open up against the Moose on the road on Friday at 7 o'clock. Let me add here that the AHL TV playoff package is a very worthwhile $30 investment. I wish they were paying me to tell you guys this, but they're not. That $30 allows you to see all playoff games, including games from the Eastern Division. The Admirals are in the division semifinals, and the winner of this series would face the winner of the Stars-Rockford series. The Stars are Dallas's AHL affiliate, and Rockford is Chicago's AHL affiliate. Former Predator and Admiral Rocco Grimaldi is with the Rockford Ice Hogs. I'm really excited about this postseason for the Admirals. While there's been a lot of practice time between the end of the regular season and now, it'll be really good to get started on Friday. Remember to stay tuned to the Renegades of Puck, the Admirals' social media pages, and on the forecheck for series info, game reviews, and more. All right, that's about all I have. Back to you, boss man.
The digital environment can be quite intimidating, time-consuming, and cumbersome, especially with all those other areas that need attention at your business, and that's why Stripe Digital Solutions is here to help. I know because that's exactly what Stripe Digital Solutions did for me and the Renegades of Puck. From designing my home website and helping me create my merchandise to special event posters, brand building, and social media management. But it's not just that, it's so much more. Stripe Digital Solutions has helped me every step of the way. From startup to full-time operation, Stripe Digital Solutions has been there to assist and advise every single step of the journey. In today's fast-paced world, the path to success is having a strong digital partner, and nobody is better in the trenches than Brandy and Stripe Digital Solutions. Get the solution before it's even a problem with Stripe Digital Solutions. He's got the charts you need to see and the numbers you need to know. He is the one and only Brian Baston from ontheforecheck.com, running the Renegade Analytics desk and helping with all things Admirals and AHL coverage here in the trenches. Brian, time to bring the jam.
Thanks a lot, Charlie. It's good to be back in the bunker because even though the Predator season might be over, well, we here at the Renegades of Puck, our job isn't finished until all the hockey's finished. And so, of course, we're here to preview the upcoming playoff series in the Calder Cup playoffs in the AHL between our Milwaukee Admirals and the Manitoba Moose. Now, this game starts on Friday, and I'm going to give you a basic breakdown for one big stat tonight to give you a little bit of an idea of what you're going to be looking at heading into this series. Now, on the season, the Milwaukee Admirals were 4-3-1 against the Manitoba Moose, including one shootout win, one win in overtime, and one overtime loss. Now, in all but one of those games, The starting goaltender for the Admirals was Yaroslav Askarov, who went 3-3-1 in those games. However, he did post a 91.6 save percentage, saving 208 saving 208 shots on 227 shots against. So only gave up 19 goals in those 7 games. Really impressive, and I can't imagine that we won't see Askarov in the net for most of this series. As for the skaters, Tommy Novak, before he was called up to Nashville full-time, he went on a tear in the calendar year 2022. Now, he played 4 games against the Manitoba Moose with the Admirals, scoring a goal in all 4 of those games, the leading scorer for Milwaukee in this series. Followed up behind him with Kiefer Sherwood, another player coming back from Nashville, and my boy, getting one goal in the game on December 3rd, and then picking up 2 on February 4th. Another is the captain, Cole Schneider. Excellent guy. If you haven't had a chance to watch him, make sure you do that. Cole Schneider picked up 3 goals of himself against the Moose. And we also saw some 2 from Jordan Gross and Zach Sanford. Luke Evangelista also scored the game winner in the shootout. It doesn't count for him, but he has a couple of points against the Manitoba Moose in the short time he was in Milwaukee against Manitoba. So what is some of the things we want to look for? A lot of the time, Milwaukee in this series has gotten outshot, putting a lot of the burden on Yaroslav Askarov. Now, part of that is because same problem that Nashville had, you see in Milwaukee. They had a lot of guys get called up to Nashville, and so they were assigning a lot of guys to ATOs, or guys that were depth guys were getting pushed into top 6 roles. I imagine now, with the fleet of players coming back to Milwaukee for the playoffs, including Luke Evangelista, Tommy Novak, those guys, I think that's going to make a huge difference and take some of the burden off of Yaroslav Askarov. Now, Devin Cooley, in his 1 appearance against Manitoba, he did get the overtime win, the 5-4 overtime win. He pretty good stat line, 33 of 37, so not too bad, and he will be good to be, he'll be serviceable to come in at some point in the series, especially if there are back-to-backs. So Milwaukee's got a slight edge. The goals for the series are 25-24 if you don't count the shootout goal. So it's a very evenly matched game, but Milwaukee's got this bug on their shoulder. Now, obviously, they were off to an amazing season before COVID and the pandemic came and caused the cancellation of that season. Then they didn't play the following year, and then were bounced out of the Calder Cup playoffs last season by the Chicago Wolves. Now, we know that the Wolves aren't going to be an issue now, but Milwaukee has to stay focused because this group is probably as good as Milwaukee's going to be for a little while, and so they should really take advantage. And a lot of eyes are going to be watching these games, not just us, you guys, the fans, but everybody in that organization, including Barry Trotz. So it's going to be a big one. We're going to have a whole lot of coverage, and of course, I'll be breaking down your stats after each and every game. So it's good to be back in the bunker, and I'm going to throw this back to Charlie, and that's been one big stat. Go Admirals.
Hockey players are as unique as the game itself, and your uniform should be tailored to fit you. Rebirth Sports is your sports apparel tailor. From shells, bags, warm-ups, hats, hoodies, branding, and more, let Rebirth Sports be your custom hockey tailor.
And don't forget to tell them they do more than just hockey.
Rebirth Sports on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Rebirth Sport, a match made in hockey.
Now, while the Renegades of Puck have turned their main focus to Milwaukee Admirals AHL coverage, we will still have a component of the show dedicated to the Nashville Predators because we are based here in Nashville. Right now with the NHL playoffs ongoing, not a lot of news coming out of the Nashville Predators front down at 501 Broadway. So far, a press conference that seems to allude that John Hines may be getting an opportunity to keep his job for one more year. He does have one more year left on his contract. So far, Barry Trotz not indicating a coaching change is likely, but that is still to be determined. A lot more coming out of Nashville here in the upcoming weeks. Of course, with the draft being in Nashville, the award show being in Nashville, we'll be right there on the front lines covering it all. If you happen to miss our season recap for the Nashville Predators before we head out of the bunker, let's replay that segment. This is the replay of the Nashville Predators recap right here on the Renegades of Puck podcast. Time for operation number 746. That's right, show number 746 for the Renegades of Puck. And at this moment in hockey history, the NHL regular season has come to its conclusion. The Nashville Predators have finished in 5th place. They have skated in 82 games. They finished with a record of 42, 32, and 8. 92 points has the Preds, finishing the season 17 points behind the division champion Colorado Avalanche. On home ice, the Nashville Predators had a record of 22, 15, and 4. And on the road, the Nashville Predators had a record of 20, 17, and 4. They scored 229 goals in the season. They gave up 238 goals against. That is good for a goal differential of -9 throughout the regular season. Now, let's tell you the final standings for the Central Division. The Colorado Avalanche did win the division, as I just noted a second ago. 51 wins was the most in the Central Division. 109 points clears them of the Dallas Stars by 1 point to win the division. The Dallas Stars finished in second place with 108 points, but the Dallas Stars led in so many categories in the Central Division. Goals for 285, goals against 218, and goal differential +67. But because of 14 overtime losses, the Dallas Stars find themselves falling 1 point short of the division title. The Minnesota Wild finish in 3rd place in the Central Division with 103 points. The Winnipeg Jets with 95. The Nashville Predators with 92. St. Louis Blues with 81 points on the season. The Arizona Coyotes with 70. And Chicago Blackhawks, very unimpressive set of numbers. 59 points, the least amount in the Central Division. Also, the least amount of victories, of course, with 26, but the least amount of home victories within the division, 14. Also, the worst amount of goals for, 204 goals for on the season, the least amount of goals scored. 301 goals against the only team in the Central Division. St. Louis also gave 301, the only two teams in the Central to give up 300 goals on the season. Goal differential, though, -97, far and away the worst in the Central Division. So that gets you all caught up on what happened in the Central Division with the final standings for the season. Now, for the Nashville Predators, let's turn to closing out their regular season. Let's start with the NHL ranks for the Preds over the course of the season. 2.72 is their goals for on the year. That was 28th out of 32 clubs in the NHL. That is not a very good number. 2.88 was their goals against on the season. That is 12th best in the NHL. Not bad, finishing near the top third of the NHL. In the shots for category, the Preds struggled all season long to generate shots on net, and without Roman Josi down the stretch of the season, it was dramatically worse. 29.5 shots on net for the season is 23rd in the NHL. And the shots against, again, the Preds gave up way too many shots. When we talk about UC Saros' final season stats, it will be reflective where he ranks amongst league leaders, how much work he had to face this season. The Preds gave up 33.3 shots against per game on the season. That is 27th in the NHL. The Preds power play was never very good this season. 17.6% was their conversion rate. That is 27th rated in the NHL. 44 conversions on 250 opportunities. Now, the Predators' penalty kill absolutely surged the late portion of the season. 82.6% was their kill rate. 48 power play goals against on the season. The 6th best power play in the NHL this season. Not their best complete statistical metric in league rankings, but of the most important statistical metrics we talk about, 6th overall in PK. Highly impressive stuff by the Nashville Predators. Dropping down to the next tier of statistics for the Preds of the season, face-off winning percentage. Didn't talk about it nearly enough this season. 8th best in the NHL, 52.2%. Ryan Johansson, when healthy, was near the tops in the league individually. Penalty minutes for the Nashville Predators, 791 on the season. That was 10th overall in the league. Minor penalties, 286. That was 12th. Major penalties, 29. That was 8th overall in the NHL. Now, here is the Nashville Predators' number one category that they led in the NHL in any statistics. They are the 3rd highest rated team in the league in total hits for the season, 2,242. In block shots, Preds finished the season 6th overall in the NHL, 1,322 blocked shots. So that's where the Nashville Predators finished in the standings, and now where the Nashville Predators finished in the team rankings. Let's now spend a few minutes talking about the individual finishes to each season. We'll talk about the statistics for the team overall in points, and goals and assists. Then we'll talk about some of the breakdowns on some of the other categories, and we'll close this segment with the goaltenders talk. The captain, Roman Josi, though he was unable to skate in the final games of the season, 18 goals and 41 assists for 59 points. 59 points leads the Nashville Predators this season, so this year the Predators cannot even get a 60-point scorer after so many massive record-breaking offensive seasons just a year ago. Those 41 assists would represent number one overall on the Nashville Predators in assists. Matt Duchene, 22 goals, would represent the team lead for the season. He, of course, did not finish the season either due to injury. 22 goals and 34 assists for 56 points puts him in second place for the season. Tommy Novak finishes the season with 17 goals and 26 assists for 43 points in just 51 games skated, and Tommy Novak finishes third in scoring for the Nashville Predators this year. Tommy Novak is turning into a gem, and he is signed into the future at one of the most affordable contracts at 43 points in 51 games, can probably get a team. Philip Forsberg, 19 goals and 23 assists for 42 points, of course, was injured for quite some time here at the end of the season. Mikhail Granlund traded to Pittsburgh, 9 goals, 27 assists for 36 points. That's what he was able to do with the Nashville Predators. Glass, 14 goals, 21 assists for 35 points. Sissons, 12 and 18 for 30. Nino Niederreiter traded to Winnipeg, 18 and 10 for 28 points on the season, so still able to put up 18 goals and finishes tied for third on the Nashville Predators in goals scored this season. Ryan Johansson missed much of the end of the season due to injury. 12 goals and 16 assists for 28 points, was stellar in the face-off circle all season long. Parson gets his first taste and opportunity at the NHL, puts up 6 goals and 19 assists for 25 points. Injury slowed him down at the end of the season, but he put up a highlight reel goal that is maybe an all-timer for the franchise, and now he will get every opportunity to go back to Milwaukee and participate in the AHL playoffs. Trennan finishes the year rather depressed when it comes to the offensive statistics. Only 12 goals and 12 assists for 24 points, but good to see Trennan maintaining the jam and playing hard each and every night. McDonough, 2 and 18 for 20 points, and he really, truly is one of the best acquisitions this Nashville Predators team has possibly ever had. Philip Tomasino at 5 and 13 for 18. Ekholm traded to Edmonton, but still put up 5 and 13 for 18 for the Preds. Cole Smith, 4 goals, 13 assists for 17. Luke Evangelista, 7 goals and 8 assists for 15 points in his first taste with the NHL, and 5 and 9 for 14 points was Tanner Jeannot before he got traded to Tampa Bay. Sherwood finishes the season with 7 goals and 6 assists for 13 points. Jankowski, 7 goals, 3 of those shorthanded, 5 assists for 12 points, and I added Luzon as the 20th and final scorer on this list as 3 goals, 9 assists for 12 points. That takes care of the individual statistics by goals, assists, and points for the Nashville Predators to wrap up the season. But a couple categories I wanted to branch out on and highlight. Penalty minutes for the season. Tanner Jeannot, even though traded to Tampa Bay and spent about a third of the season in Tampa Bay, 85 penalty minutes led the Nashville Predators in the season. That was Tanner Jeannot. Luzon second on team with 66. Cole Smith with 60. Dante Fabro 50. And Yakov Trenin with 47. Now, this is a category that I particularly enjoyed looking up because I knew, based on the number of hits Luzon was piling up game in and game out, that he had to be really high up there for the season. 250 hits on the regular season. That led the Nashville Predators and was far, far and away. Tanner Jeannot at 213, Cole Smith at 198, Trennan at 167, and Sissons at 164. But a healthy Luzon next year could be near one of the league leaders in total hits. Block shots, Ryan McDonough, again, just the most fantastic addition to this Nashville Predators franchise in every way. Led the team in block shots at the end of the season with 165. The captain, Roman Josi, with 148. Dante Fabro with 129. And no shocker here, time on ice for the season. Roman Josi, 25-10 per game. Ekholm ended up being second on the team at 21-44. And McDonough, 21-32. Of course, no surprise that it's all populated by defensemen when it comes to time on ice for the season. But Roman Josi is truly just a stellar player, and the Nashville Predators, without him down the stretch, fell just shy of making it into the playoffs. With his leadership, with his offensive capabilities and his skill sets, who knows what the Nashville Predators could have accomplished with the way this young group and core had played the stretch of the season out. UC Saros finishes the season with a record of 33, 23, and 7. He has 7th best in the league in wins with 33. His 919 save percentage is 5th best in the NHL at the end of the season. 2.69 goals against average, 1,928 saves is first overall in the NHL. 2,099 shots against is first in the NHL. And 3,809 minutes and 59 seconds is also first in the NHL. UC Saros may not have the goals against average, and he may not have the top save percentage in the NHL, but he kept his Nashville Predators in the race up until the dying periods of the season, and for that and for the numbers that he leads in the NHL, I truly believe he should be a Vezina finalist this year. No, I do not believe he should win the Vezina. I do believe that there are goaltenders that are superior to him in most statistical categories, and team results, of course, are going to play a factor into this, and GMs are always wowed by teams that finish near the tops of the standings. Anyway, I believe it's Olmark's Vezina to lose, but I believe UC Saros deserves, has earned, and has kicked the door in on becoming a Vezina finalist again this season. If he can get out of the gate hot next season, who knows? He could put up a season just like Linus Olmark has this year. Kevin Lankinen, the backup goaltender for the Nashville Predators this year, very respectable season. 9-8-1 overall on his record, a 9.16 save percentage, 2.75 goals against average. He was put in there in some very difficult circumstances, especially early in the season, represented himself well, and came away with some really big-time performance. As a goaltender tandem, Saros-Lankinen, very good going into next season. With Askarov coming along in the pipeline in Milwaukee, the Nashville Predators are definitely set up and stacked nicely in net. That's got you caught up on the Central Division final standings, where the Nashville Predators finished in the rankings amongst the league, the individual statistics, and all the different categories, plus the goaltenders. Man, it was fun covering this Nashville Predators team down the stretch run of the season. They almost made it into the playoffs, but more importantly than that, they were in it each and every night. They were competitive, and a lot of young players and a lot of future core players of this franchise were the ones that got the opportunities here down the stretch, and that was the most fun part of covering the team this season. It was a tough first half of the season, and it was honestly a very enjoyable and rewarding last part of the season, covering so many incredible young hockey players that were out there just bringing the jam and the no half-step and effort, shift in and shift out. Impressive stuff from so many different players, and the next development camp that's coming up this summer is going to be the Nashville Predators' most important camp that they have had since the first camp that they had 25 years ago. The franchise will look completely different next year, other than Philip Forsberg, Roman Josi, Matt Duchene, Ryan Johansson, and of course, UC Saros. Other than that, this Nashville Predators team is going to repopulate the roster and the lineup with a wealth of options, and who knows what they will accomplish over the course of the summer, whether they trade some draft picks to bring in some other ready-to-go roster players, whether there are some other players still to sign in free agency, all of that to be tracked here on the show over the course of the season. But building around the core that I just mentioned, with that defenseman, that goaltender, and those couple of forwards, and the youth movement coming in with the Nashville Predators and Barry Trotz's first season, I cannot wait to see what this team is able to accomplish moving forward next season as they climb from 5th place, hopefully more into the playoff conversation sooner rather than later. I do believe these final games of the season allowed the Nashville Predators to absolutely shave off at least a season, if not more, in the rebuild process and how long it will take them to become competitive again. They can shrink that time frame even more by making a couple of very important trades and some signings here in the next 1 to 2 seasons. Sure to appreciate each and every one of you jumping in the trenches with the Renegades of Puck. Operation 752 is now complete and in the books. We are incredibly excited to be amplifying, supporting, and bolstering all things Milwaukee Admirals coverage. We are very excited to be bringing you game-by-game coverage and game-by-game breakdowns. Please spread the word. Join us here in the trenches. All things Milwaukee Admirals, all things Nashville Predators, and all things hockey in general. We sure do appreciate your time. We appreciate your viewership, and we certainly appreciate you. I'm your host and captain, Crazy Charlie Saunier. Stick taps, love, and respect.